first of all, do sick people get horny when you're going through?
I have no fucking idea.
Around this is disclosure. I want us to dive a bit into disclosure. So what does your dating life look like? Hi there, everybody. My name is Roberta Bobbie, and you're joining me again here for another hour on Heartfelt with Bobbie. And today with me is Mr. Omondi Ochuka, an amazing writer. And I'm just coming from reading an article that he wrote to kind of answer the questions of the discussion that we're gonna, not kinda, actually answer the questions that we're going to discuss today. Omondi is someone that is living with chronic illness. That's right to say? Okay. You know, thinking about this conversation, it's a bit uncomfortable even for me.
It's uncomfortable, not a bit. You're shook.
It is.
I could actually look at your mind and take it apart the way you're trying to filter words. What am I going to tell this nigga?
Yeah, it's who?
Just
Sijui kama nianze na disclaimers za kusema, you know, I'm largely here to learn.
Yeah, we are. Both of us, actually.
Yeah, as the audience is. And I might ask a question in a very uninformed way that maybe even promotes ableism. But I need you to know that I need you to correct me, or if I say something the wrong way, please feel free to to put my words together in a way that is more respectful. Because as a layman, there's a lot of things that we're not privy to. There's a lot of information or probably exposure that we lack, especially to proximity with people living with even chronic illness or maybe say disability or anyone who seems to be a bit different from us, you know? So it's but I feel like I might tiptoe around.
You will.
A few.
You will. And this is also, let me just save Roberta from over-explaining. I think even I am very likely to say something very awfully wrong that might not sit well with the community of people living with chronic illness or disability.
Yeah.
Like she said, we are both here to learn, and you as well. I think this is the idea of a dialogue. This is the idea of something that is heartfelt.
Yeah.
A heart does things wrong sometimes. And I think that's the whole idea of being a human being who's able to have a teaching and a learning moment. Yeah, that's why we're here.
Thank you for making me laugh. At least you've broken the ice
tension.
a bit.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So we're here to discuss sex and relationships amongst people living with chronic illness. Today, someone else was supposed to join us, a friend of mine, but ameshindwa koza jamka akifeel well. And I'm just thinking, you know, I know wherever she is, she's probably feeling maybe guilty that she had to cancel on me last minute. And is this something that occurs frequently? Is this something that you probably have to go through a lot, considering, because even now for you to join me, you've just come straight from the hospital and you've mentioned that you were there from Wednesday and today is 4 days later. So tell me a bit about how your day-to-day life looks like as someone who's living with chronic illness, and maybe tell us a bit about what illness you have and, you know.
All right, let me start with the illness that I'm living with.
Yes.
So I'm a cancer survivor. I usually don't like that one nowadays. Survivor. What am I surviving? I'm living with cancer.
Yes.
Or that's the whole idea. Language.
Yeah.
Language. I like
people who say struggling
thriving.
with.
I'm a thriver.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
I like saying I'm a thriver because it offers me so much power and agency and personal agency, because when I'm surviving, it means I'm going against something very terrible and awful. And I am. I think the early onset of, let's say when I was diagnosed with liver cancer in 2010, the military word for cancer was fighter, warrior. It was at the peak, actually. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So 2010s was such a peak moment for militant cancer jargons. It's not like it was the first time. Actually, this stretches back to early 1990s when early 1990s was the peak for HIV/AIDS globally. But for America, there was something also called C word. So C word was cancer.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they couldn't.
So you couldn't even say the
They
word
couldn't
out loud.
name it. They couldn't
my
name it. And
goodness.
because the treatment for cancer over the years was very aggressive, the idea was to radically, if it's surgery, remove it radically. If it's like a mastectomy for women with breast cancer, you remove it radically so that it doesn't recur.
Yeah.
If it's chemo, it was brutal. So there was also very little known science behind chemotherapy and all these other cancer treatment modalities. So most of it was very radical, and I think that's why there was a vacuum for militant jargons, because you felt like you're going for a war. You felt like your life is at stake, and it is.
Let us fight.
Yeah,
this
let's
thing.
fight this, and that thing has not left cancer illness narratives. It's still there. I also still very much respect fellow thrivers who actually use that word, because then again, I mean, it's just words. There are only so many strings of letters we can put together to form a word. So sometimes I also find it.
It's representative of the situation that you undergo when you're going through cancer.
Yes, it does, because there's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of fighting in the sense, I used to just feel like it was just, I'm going to take pills, I'm going to do chemo, let's do this. But then again, I reframed it. After 2015, I reframed it. It was the second time I was having a coma that lasted slightly longer, about a month plus some days. So this put me in a very awkward situation with life, because you realize that actually it can be taken any minute. You may not have a chance, just like your friends who have gone by, who've transitioned or died, So you have to be really present in the moment, and that's really scary. Most human beings say they want to be present, but presence is not always that easy. It's terrifying, because you have to be comfortable in your skin, and you also have to be able to learn two things: relational and contextual intelligence. What do I mean by those? Relational means you as a sick person, or you as a patient, or you as a caregiver, you live in an ecosystem, in an environment, and you're bound to interact with caregivers, healthcare providers. You're bound to interact with a spouse if you're dating. If you're a child who has cancer, you're bound to be a site of medical intervention. So you just be thrown around here and there. If you are dating and as a what we call adult and young adult and adolescents, young adults. So those are people who are diagnosed slightly after 13 all the way to, let's say, 25. So there's a reason why they created that distinct, because it's very unique. Most people fall in love during that time. It's high school. Most people have their first sex during that time. Most people are youthful and vibrant and agile. So if you had cancer in your childhood, that changes the trajectory of your higher years. But if you had cancer like me, I was a young adult, I was 19, that also changes, because then again, it might mark the first love story you're having in your life, your first sex that you're having in your life, early formative years of your schooling education. Basically also you meeting the world, boy meets the world. I usually call it a boy meets the world years. So that's the typical framing I had to do, because I realized I was mostly doing will work. Will work means I wasn't just fighting the disease by going to the hospital and taking pills and coming back and having to eat some special diet and going for therapy. Those were still happening, but I needed to wield more willpower to live, because there are days when I was so tired and I felt no sense of wanting to continue anymore. And you just want to just stop it. Those are the moments when the symptoms have started to manifest physically. My hair has fallen off. And I used to have an afro, which defined how I see myself, my self-image. I used to be very buffed up. I've never stepped into a gym, but the way my body is was very sculpted. And I used to take pride in it, of course. So when that starts to take a beating, your self-perception changes. And it also coincided with a grief that was very deep in my life. I had just lost my girlfriend, and I was a young father. So these realities came in so early, and they compounded the illness experience that I was having. So that needed me to reframe just me fighting. I was going to the hospital. In the evening, I'm going for a class. I come back home to relieve my help so that I am a father.
Yes.
At night, during that time, there was a huge blooming of online gigs. I think that's the time when most online gigs were starting to get into the Kenyan market. So I used to work through the night. And mostly I used to work through the night because I couldn't sleep, because I'm trying to distract myself from pain. So that was just the ideal sense of a day-to-day during that time. And I realized, it takes a lot of God to want to thug through life, to want to say, this life is bad and is nasty, and sometimes I feel awful, sometimes I feel suicidal, but I have to still go on because this is now my reality. And that's why I'm saying it was not just about the fighting in terms of medical treatment, it was about digging into myself and finding, how do I still extend myself? And then I noticed one final thing before I go to a day-to-day life of a chronically ill.
Yeah.
I was now, my life, remember, when you're young, you're very free and wild and free-spirited. You fuck around. I think there was a time when Tribeca was in town back then. It was a big shit. I don't know if you're allowed to cuss in this podcast.
You are.
Yeah. And generally, for me, I'm never an outgoing person. I'm very reserved. Even my fun times are very different from a typical person, like a young person. So I'd love galleries, I'd love nature walks. Those things are now picking up as pastime and hobbies for a lot of people. But back then, like if you want to be a fun person, you have to go to Dunda.
Alcohol
had to be a part of it, and also student politics. So you're wearing so many caps, and you're wondering, how do I perform in them? Because most men, like me, are so big on performance. Performance means productivity. Performance means, how do I look within the world? It might be different from how women experience the world, but it slightly maybe other differences. But the idea is just the same. You are performing for yourself and you're performing for the world. You have not come to a middle ground and said, by the Imaisha akunaga perform. There's no performing. You have to leave.
This is me.
Yeah, you have to leave. And whatever it is you're trying to perform, this illness does not care about it. It does not care that you want to earn your PhD by 25. It doesn't. You leave, come home to the middle. And where is home? Home is a hurting body. Home is you losing your girlfriend. Home is a sick child who was premature. Home is you trying to earn very paltry earnings, and so that you can survive, so that you can pay rent and push your daughter to clinics as much as your own clinics. So that was why I needed to reframe partly my mindset. Remember, early onset of diagnosis comes with a lot of victimhood. Yeah, why did it happen to me? I'm just a young person. Kwanzaa, I don't even drink.
Where is this cancer coming from? Okay, tell me a little bit about, the emotional turmoil that you're going through, and, diagnosis. So this day you wake up, you go to the hospital. What happened and how did you end up, finding out you have cancer?
It's funny. It usually places me at a very precarious situation where you're a healthy person, you go to class, you feed your daughter, you go for clinics every other day with her. Well, there's a family around you to support you through the grief of you losing your girlfriend. But then again, one Friday evening, after class, the way people just talk after class, you collapse. And you find yourself in the hospital. And that changes their trajectory. They tell you, by there, you don't look good. Have you been feeling okay? I'm like, no, I've been awesome. What do you mean you're saying? But you don't look good. Your eyes are even yellow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to retrace back and
You didn't have symptoms?
I didn't have symptoms.
Anything
I was just
showing
fatigued. I was just fatigued.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that me convulsing in school changes my trajectory. Like before and then after. Distinctly. There was many people usually feel symptoms, pre-symptomatic episodes, and then you go to a hospital for a checkup. Or you go for a checkup and life surprises you. Yeah. Mine wasn't that way. Yes, it was still a surprise, but because I I had to converse. Without that conversion, probably I'd taken longer without knowing. Understand?
Yeah.
So that is how it happened for me. And the emotional texture of that period is intense, because it's very hard to separate it from me as a father. It's very hard to separate it from me as a young and vibrant student who wanted to just pursue life. Yeah, it's very hard to separate it. So there was a lot of grief, a lot of deep, hard, and big emotions that were very hard to entangle. And because I didn't have the luxury, I felt that I didn't have the luxury to, unentangle this thread. I was like, let's just go through it.
Yeah.
Looking back, that was a big mistake, because it would bite me in the ass later on.
Yeah.
Particularly, I'll tell you about a love story later on that comes and why that connects. Because I didn't mourn my girlfriend. I didn't mourn my daughter who was stillborn. I didn't mourn the fact that I was a young father, plunged into fatherhood and caregiving, too young, maybe too unprepared.
Yeah.
So there was a roller coaster, so much that at some point, me having my daughter did not steady me. Most people report that when you have a daughter, when you have a child, there's that fire inside you. I want to do this for my daughter. I had it sometimes, but sometimes it was not sufficient. And that was the biggest thing, because it got to a point where I was giving up, and no matter the people who loved me the most, my grandmother, my favorite person in the whole world, my daughter, loving them and knowing they loved me and knowing that they needed me, my friends who were actually running around and coming to visit every now and then, sometimes even staying with the ward through the night, it did not stop the feeling of giving up, the feeling of, fuck this shit. I was angry and tormented, and I had this mostly anger, because anger is the first register of a man's emotion. That's the only emotion men tend to register as legitimate.
Yeah.
So anger was
manly.
Yeah, as manly, But because I am generally a feeler, I'm such a love. I would say I'm a hopeless romantic. So I am also self-aware in my feelings. I know my other emotions. So there was the other emotion of, I'm a very strong and resilient person. My family has gone through so much, and when I was looking at my grandmother losing her children, having to take care of a family of 12 people, and I was like, I can do this shit. So there was, I can't say that it was just one stream of emotion. There was also pride that, you look around and there were very few cancer survivors who had made it past the mark of 5 years. And you want to be that motherfucker who just, thugs through it. And you're like, you're gonna beat the statistics and be a hero. That time I wanted to prove myself. So there was a lot of a mixture of deep and colorful emotions. Some of them were very nondescript. I couldn't put my hands to it and say, this is the emotion I'm feeling. You're feeling like some type of way, and you're just there, drifting through the world like, like a penguin. That's just it. I was just collecting souvenirs as days, and that's deep. It was a deeply wounding place, but it was also, looking back, when I was going through it, I just saw it that it was a deeply wounding thing, because one thing was happening after the other. A year was packed with so much. I had no time to breathe. I had no time to sleep. I can count the number of days I slept during 2011. There was no luxury to go back. Even when people offered to me, just lay down a little bit, I was like, no. I slept with my daughter all night, except when her grandmother took her. Of course, now when she's at their place, I cannot sleep at the same bed she's sleeping. But I had so much fear that, wait a minute, this could be taken from me. My daughter, my moment with my daughter could be taken from me. So why not spend it? And that is the colors of my years between 2010 and 2015. Now, to how a day-to-day of, you mentioned your friend Tracy. I'm sorry about Tracy. We'll send our loves, and we hope you recover well soon. So the life of a chronically ill person is very interesting. I'd say the central theme of it is uncertainty. You, Bobbie, maybe might not, but let's just say an average next person. A day in the life of an average person is very predictable. even if it's not.
Yeah.
Because we know life.
That was gonna be
Yeah,
my next
because
question.
life is not predictable anyway.
Yes.
But it is predictable in their perception.
Yes.
Because that's the daily routine they've known over and over. I wake up.
I kind of have the safety of
yeah,
I can kind of tell how my day will look like tomorrow.
You understand?
Yeah.
But for a chronically ill person, it means the illness has already crossed the threshold of a malaria. Malaria, you go to the hospital, you take some CBC test, blood test, you're given some tembes, and then you go home. And after, let's say, a week or 4 to 7 days, you recover. You understand? That's different. This is something that has stayed with you for a year. It went and came back. And then you realize, oh, this is the script. This is my script.
This is my life
Yeah,
now.
this is the stage.
Yeah.
You just improvise within that stage. So you realize that it has crossed the threshold of one day it might get better. No, it won't. You have to learn to exist and inhabit that space. That's the difference now.
How do you reach that acceptance? Because it's like it's even crazy for me to fathom because it's, okay, for me, as someone who's standing from outside, I'm trying to think if I reached a situation where I'm told, okay, this is now your life. It seems like you kind of adjust and you kind of learn how to live with it. But I need to know the emotional distress or maybe the kind of intentional changes that you're taking for you to reach an acceptance of this life. Did you just kind of find yourself, accepting like, okay, this is life? Or are there things that you intentionally had to put in to reach a space where you're like, oh shit, like this is really it now. This is my life now. Yeah.
I think it's the first time I ever came closely. I used to read, my grandfather was an academic, so he was also a Christian, which sometimes made me not understand him. And then now when I was beginning to understand him, he introduced me to an author called C.S. Lewis, who is a Christian apologist. Has written extensively about being a Christian, about faith, about inhabiting life's vagaries and still being a Christian and still be a faithful believer. I believe that's the same thing because all of us are faithful to a life we have been given. And I don't mean that you love where you were born, who you are. Most of us don't anyway. What I mean by faithful is you have built a ladder around your life and you want to follow it. You want to be a doctor someday. You want to be a journalist. You want to be a kick-ass footballer and an athlete. All these things form a ladder that you want to pursue as an aspiration. Understand? At some point, particularly after adulthood or like college years, that's when you sort of see who you might be in the next 10, 15, 20 years. So that's what I mean by being faithful to who you want to be or who you are. So when illness comes, it disrupts that story. And it becomes not neat. It's ugly. You can look yourself in the mirror. If you're a lady, probably your hair is lost. And many ladies are very attached to their hair. If you had a mastectomy, maybe double or a single, then that changes. Because boobies, I love titties, So titties are just central to the beautification of a woman. They appeal not just for sex, but also beauty. And also just generally self-grounding. I'm very sure, I don't know if women feel it, but I want to believe that when you touch your boobs, you kind of feel nice. So that changes the story. How that happens is different for every other person. But one thing that is common, it confronts you over and over. And if you don't deal with it, it will just keep on. I always say it's kind of like a lesson, like a red flag lesson that keeps on. If you don't learn it,
if you don't learn the lesson,
it's gonna come up. Yeah, it will be back. It will be back, and it will bring those. I don't know whether this is still something people believe. Those other 7 demons. They come, bro, kuna mahali tulishikaga land, twende huko. So it will keep on coming until you learn. Oh, and then the other thing, it happens mostly for a lot of people when you cease to want to control outcomes. The reason why I started saying we are faithful to our story, what is being faithful? Commitment, devotion, depth. Like you're hopelessly romantic about your life. And then something changes. It's a heartbreak. It's a grief. So the reason why it comes with you stopping to not want to control stuff, it means, one, you're being more present in your life. You thought you were immune, but you realize, I'm fucking
It's for
untouchable.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Whether you thought that, cancer happens to people who have certain genes or people who drink excessively,
People who smoke too
who
much.
smoke too much. Like you who didn't even touch,
Maybe wellness
narcotics.
guru.
Yeah. It came to you. So
Yes.
this changes. First of all, you become very bitter
Yeah.
because most of us live in a reward system.
Yeah.
Reward system means if you are a good boy in school, you're gonna get good grades, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna marry a hot wife, you're gonna marry into a rich family, and you're gonna be a beautiful wife in a corporate job somewhere, and then this changes your shit.
Yeah.
You understand? So that is the first bitterness that comes. Bitterness comes with the 5 stages of grief, and it's not neat. It one day a day can have all these personalities of grief. A morning can have all of them. At the moment we just started talking, can have all those emotions.
Yes.
And this is why we always say that grief is not even cyclic. It's not even progressive from one stage to another. I think when Kubler-Ross was trying to conceptualize it in early 60s or 70s, she was trying to understand at least the very basics of how grief operates. And I still honor it because it's still true for a lot of people. But in essence, that's not how it usually works. You can experience it in one big moment. You can experience it in progressively. You can experience it intermittently. You can skip one step and go to the other. So one day you can be like, I'm now a cancer survivor. Good. I'm going to beat this shit. I'm like, why? Why me? I was okay life. Why did you have to bring this to me? Yeah. And one day you're throwing tantrums and you don't even know. People around you just like, no, tunamjua. Akifika hiyo place uwe mwache tu atulie. Understand? So the final thing, the reason why I say ceasing to control means you're actually reclaiming your power back. But most people tend to think power means conquest.
Yes.
And that's why, remember, at 2015, I'm starting to change survivor narrative here. Power means conquest. You have to beat the hell out of cancer. In fact, most people had ribbons I even had it when I was doing my fundraising in 2016. The bloody faced, because I had liver cancer. And my bare chest. That was very symbolic because it was me transitioning from being helpless and powerless to taking my power back. Power you take by narrative. Remember, most of us were, if for lack of a better word, we were indoctrinated to believe that you have to conquer the world. Go out there and beat every person in your class, earn that scholarship, get that good job, marry well, do life well, and all these things will be voila, Easy peasy. But that's not how it works.
That's the setup of capitalism.
Yes.
That's how you
it's an allure.
You feel like you're achieving in your life. Yeah.
So you get to that place where you now reframing things and you're like, I have to be in this. I might not recover. I might die. The dreams that I had, I will not achieve them. Possibly. The dreams that I have, I might achieve them, and even wildly so.
Surpass,
Yeah. I might surprise life that is already now surprising me. You understand? So when you get to that, you realize, so much of life is not guaranteed. And what do you do with that? Do you want to leave yourself bitter and saying, NHIF is not paying for my treatment? My friends have already graduated. Remember in 2015, my friends have already graduated.
Yeah.
I'm still in second year. That changes out because I wanted to be an academic. That changes how you view yourself because the very thing that defined you as a person, your value system has been compromised, and you're feeling jet lagged. Remember, these people are pushed into the rocket. They're in space. Some of them are married. Some of them have gotten their first jobs. They're doing well in life by your perception. You don't know the inner details of their life. Understand?
Yes, exactly.
And sometimes you even get resentment about it. So later on, you're like, when you talk, some of them are still fearful how to approach you because, like you said when we were starting the episode, they also struggle with how do we have these conversations in a humane way? How do I approach Ochuka and still be his friend? without him feeling like I'm just sympathizing with him. Why is Ochuka's life reminding me of my mother who died of cancer? I'm not going to reach out.
Yes.
I don't want to lose him.
And I want to pivot into relationships now. Today we're discussing something that is really crazy to discuss in the African context, especially, sex, relationships, and illness. Nobody wants to
Tabu,
be
tabu,
discussing
tabu, tabu.
zote, zikifuatana. Nobody wants to be around a sick person. Nobody wants to be around just the confrontation of the possibility of death, or in a situation where you don't even know how to show up for someone or even how to speak to someone who is going through something chronic. So in this moment, while you're going through all these things from 2011, how are you creating the support that you need along the way? And how are you making friendships? How are your friends reacting around your diagnosis? And how are you even having conversations around it? Before tuingie kwa romantic relationships, kwanza niambie about at least family and friends and just the general people around you.
There's something called disclosure fatigue. And
Yes.
it happens.
Tell us about that.
I'll share it much later, but also let me just introduce it because it comes with, I didn't tell my family until 2 months after my diagnosis.
So when you were convulsing, you did not mention it
I was
at
taken
all?
to the hospital. I woke up, it was a Friday, I woke up the next Saturday at around 10.
Yeah.
I was being told, so now, who do we call? I was like, no, don't call anybody.
Why though?
Because I'm an adult. I'm a man. Remember? Your self-perception.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And already a lot is happening. Some people are picking tabs for me with the war. Some people are supporting me through Nikki. So I don't want to add a burden to them. And already illness is almost, and I think it's not wrong actually. Illness is a burden.
It is.
I think this is something we need to really define before we even go further. Illness is a burden. When you acknowledge it, it does not mean that now sasa utaki robata Bobbie because alipatikana na cancer. No, it just means you are acknowledging life for what it is. Illness is a reality. I don't think there's anybody who goes through life without getting ill.
True.
So it can touch anyone. So when we acknowledge that it is a burden, it means that once something is a burden, there are 3 things that come in. How do you solve it? How do you ease or comfort or soothe it? How do you sit with it? You understand? So I have gone through my stages of grief, and because the thing that saved me, I wanted so bad to go back to my life of pursuing education, going to my master's. Actually, I never even wanted to do my master's. I wanted to just go straight. Because now time is a factor, So that kept me going because I had something important for me to go back to. I had a daughter to go back to. So whenever I would veer off, while you're driving as a drunk driver, you're swerving and swerving, but something is grounding you in the middle. That kept me sane because I had something called a purpose value. Purpose value is something that drives you. And it need not to be something big, by the way. It can be something very stupid, like cattle. I've talked to cancer patients in their 60s and 70s who want to go back home to take care of their cattle.
Yes. And that truly does keep them alive because they have that purpose.
Yes.
Even if it's not intentional or something they're thinking that this is what is helping me, it's just something that's happening. Yeah.
So when I collapsed, I had 3 friends. There was James, there was Farah, and Gigi later came on to the hospital. These people formed what I might call persistent loving. Loving you mpaka umechoka, your bones are tired, you cannot resist love anymore. That's what these 3 friends did to me. I remember Martine was in Cambridge back then. She had to fly in December. Peak time, there's very little ticket. She was really frustrated. I want to come home and see you. Martine and I, we grew up, we were family friends. So she was very devastated to hear that I was having a diagnosis. Her mom passed on with cancer. So I had a lot of love around me, so much that I had nothing, I had no reason to be bitter. If I wanted to be bitter, I was just a witch. But I had no reason to be bitter. And that has a way of softening you to try and say, sometimes you don't want to live for yourself, but you live for your friends. You live for my grandma. My grandma came every 2 weeks, actually. And she doesn't like traveling on road. You know, my late Uncle Freddie sent food every week. Homemade, like I went to the farm, I picked managu. I went to the farm and picked maize. We cooked it. We sent it to Easy Coach for you. My friends would come, and sometimes I would be so tired. I don't know, the people today is probably a Saturday and people are having hangovers. That hangover feeling of you sitting next to a bowl, that was my moment every other day. So you can imagine having a hangover every day.
That's how it feels.
That's
like
how
when
it
you're
feels.
Going through the illness.
Yes, that's how it feels. Many of us have had malaria in maybe tropical Africa. Many of us have had malaria. So imagine having that kind of malaria feeling every day. Bones tired, you don't feel food. If you want to eat, you feel like you're nauseated, you want to vomit. You're so tired. There's less enthusiasm about life. And then there are these people who come around, circle you around, they check you out, they see your emotions, they say, yeah, today is kind of, you can have a conversation. Today, we're just going to drag him to the hell and we're going to get to a club. I remember one day they took me to a strip club. I was fucking sick. And I was thin. And I remember this lady looking at me graciously. I lack a word for it because grace is what comes to my mind.
Yes.
And she gave me a lap dance, and I was going to my pocket to remove. I think I had some. Remember ile 200 kitambo ilikuwa na cotton.
Yes.
It was still crisp. I wanted to give her. I was like, no, I'm gonna give you another 30 minutes. So that was love in another dimension, because this is something that people are trained to fear illness. Yeah. And she could see, you could see. Remember, there's a time when, like right now, I'm sick, but many people cannot know that I am sick because it doesn't manifest it physically that much. I was sick, you could see it. My cheekbones, my hair, there's no hair. My lips are peeling. My frame is gone. And you see, if you're buffed up and you lose weight, 17 kilograms, it shows.
Yeah.
And there's somebody that wants to give me joy. This is how I thought about it. She wants to give me joy. So that changed my mind. And that also softened me because I was now noticing. Remember, when you're ill, you become a victim.
Yes.
When you're a victim, you don't notice.
Yes. You're consistently thinking
Yes.
the depression and
Yes.
the bad negative feelings.
Yes. And you hang on to it because it's an identity, a new identity you want to hang on and cling to. You understand?
And it's almost valid.
Yes,
because
it is valid.
This is what you're going through.
Yes, it is valid.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, it messes with your capacity to receive love and give love. Most people think the ill person is the one who's supposed to be receiving love.
Yeah.
An ill person gives so much love. I have loved people so much. In fact, one of the things that people say about me, for example, when I'm writing online, is I have a sense of a calm energy. I'm very loving. These are things that are cultivated through my illness years, because I had so much being given to me, and I was getting to a point where I cannot just be receiving. I also have things to do. So people used to come to me with their problems. Because the one thing, even before cancer, I am one person who has a very rich resource of perspectives. When you come to me, I can break down something. I can comfort. Like, those are things that I'm really good at. And so sometimes I also used to get angry when my friends comfort me, but they're also going through problems and they don't want to tell me. And yet that's one thing they know Ochuka is very good at. So why are you not giving me the chance to love me? And yet when I'm withdrawing from you, you criticize me. You understand?
How do we reach a healthy balance of this
Conversations.
give and take in friendship?
Conversations.
Because, to be honest, Ochuka, I have been in this space with you a million times. Ocha tu nijiseme.
Yeah.
There's times I will text you and you'll tell me, you're not feeling very well or you're in the hospital. And I'm also really, really going through it, emotionally mostly. And I know you have this huge, amazing resource of, perspective, and you can share and teach me and comfort me. But I'm thinking, oh my goodness, my problem is so minute compared to what he's going through. I don't want to offload on you, and I start overthinking within myself. And I do know, I mean, I am good at communication, so I do know that it is important. I'm able to create a safe space where we're able to give and take and exchange. But then when I just sit and weigh, I'm like, nah, I don't want to make him have a worse day than he probably is, because in as much as you're also my friend, I feel like if I'm going through something that is putting me down, it will also affect you in some ways. So I just think, nah, I don't want to extend that onto you. So how do you achieve, or what are you going through as the person who's ill? Tell me, what are you thinking when I'm withholding, sharing the things that I'm going through, and how can we make this situation better so that I mean, I haven't reached a space where I feel like you're not giving me the space to be your friend. But I totally understand how you would feel like I'm not opening up as much as I should, or I'm not giving you the space to be a friend to me in return. So how do we reconcile?
I think that doesn't happen on its own. We have to recognize that. I know that we are living in an age where so many things are happening. We are more drawn to, let's say, a casual relationship. And I always believe that, I don't know whether I'm the one who's a serious monk, but I don't think there's anything casual about life. Casual just means there's less pressure to perform. But me still being your friend, me still being a decent person, me still being somebody who's remorseful when I wrong you, those things do not change. Casual does not mean that I walk over you.
Yes.
And call it, no, see, you were just casual.
Yeah.
So we were just flings.
Yeah.
See, I just knew you recently. So, no, I think we do owe each other decency. We do owe each other empathy.
Yes.
But the reason why I said reframing victimhood is very important. Because illness, like I said earlier, an ill person is the one who's supposed to be taken care of.
Yes.
They are on the receiving end. But people rarely talk about what is it that they give to the world. What is it unique about them that they can present to the world? That yes, while they are sick and they are horrible and they're in the hospital and they are probably dying, who is Ochuka outside of that illness?
Yes.
You understand? So that is what the reframing is what changes it, and I think it happens through very deliberate conversation. There's a lot of fighting that happens before it. Because the fighting does not mean that we are enemies. It just means it's a tug of war with old ties of how we communicate. Because most of us were never equipped with the resourcefulness of communication. Most of us grew up with houses without silent treatment was a thing.
Yes.
Anger was a thing. Throwing things at people. Beatings was a thing. You can't beat your friend to love you. You can't beat your lover, your girlfriend, or your boyfriend to love you. You can't beat your wife or your spouse to love you. You simply have to sit down as an adult and talk with them. And even then, it does not guarantee that they will see things from the way you see it. Fear and shame are very difficult to process, very difficult to get through, very difficult to live in. The reason why I said live in, because fear and shame do not go anywhere. These are emotions. It's just like love.
Yes.
Just like hate. I mean, people think that, if the world did not have hate, we will live. No, these things are valid spectrum. They fall in the spectrum of human emotion and experiences. You just have to learn that I am aware I'm feeling angry at my friend for not visiting. My friend just lives across the block. We go to the same school, we sit in the same class, but when I try to reach to my friend, they don't want to greet me. How do you feel about that? Do you feel resentment? Do you feel stigmatized? Do you feel that the world has now carved a wall around you and you're isolated? Once you know that, you can decide which friends am I gonna have? Which friends, because not all friends can also take in hard conversations. Some friends, and this is why it's important to know the typography of your friends. Your friends are not the same. So when I expect you, Roberta Bobbie or Dorja Gero, to give me the same emotional support, or Odhiambo Otieno to give me the same emotional support, or support generally, I'm doing it wrong. Because Odhiambo Otieno and you are different people.
Yes.
The way you were raised, the way you think, the way you perceive the world, even though some things might still be the same for both of you, you're very distinct. So I have to understand myself, my needs right here now, vis-a-vis Bobbie. Bobbie is very good at conversations. So when I feel like I need to break down something that has been troubling me on my mind, let's say me and my girlfriend are not working, and I wanna reach out to a friend. Let's say I'm feeling tired about raising my daughter, and I need just a weekend so that I work can be out of my side. I can just be miserable on my own. And this is where Gigi and Martin used to come in, because they used to take a word for a weekend, and they used to have that weekend for me, So because they had that capacity, and because they love children, and because they don't mind having my child to take care of while I go through the drift. So knowing your friends and knowing what their strengths are, their weaknesses, and how those complement, because you also have your own strengths and your weaknesses. Yes. And then be very deliberate about having hard conversations. I have never seen a relationship that is easy, that is beautiful and healthy and fulfilling, that does not have phases, and seasons, not phases, seasons of hard conversations. Even when one day you have built in an intimacy that is very rooted, hard conversations will be lifelong, because we do not remain the same. We might be rooted in a particular way, the way we are designed, but our experiences change like weather. And those sometimes come with a lot of hard conversations. So when you know yourself, be deliberate about knowing yourself and how your illness is changing you, experiencing that illness, and how it might make you an awful person. Because illness makes people horrible. It makes you angry, it makes you mean, it makes you taker, not a giver. It makes you distracted. You want to fuck around. You want to be avoidant. How can you be there for me when I'm avoidant with what you ask me? You ask me about my day and I'm like, nah, I was good. How are you going to support me?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of honesty work needed on both ends. And you have to understand that some friendships are going to die. Many of mine did. I still struggle. There's a friend of mine, I won't mention his name. We recently reconnected. He was a really good friend of mine during college. And I just didn't know why he went away. Even though I tried everything in my power. Remember, kuna moment pia mpaka you're being delusional. And it depends with your personality as a person, really. I am one person who I really cherish bonds. So when they sever for a particular reason, or when people withdraw, it affects me a lot. And I want to know why. Is it me? Tendency is, am I wrongdoing? Yeah, to blame yourself. Yeah. Because already illness has stigmatized you. And this affected me a lot because they were happening almost at the same time. And remember, most of us earn or make friends based on proximity. You went to school together, you went to church together. The poetry scene, for example, the poetry scene and the art scene was picking up in the early 2010s. So most of my friends were also artists. And you would see them hanging out with your mutual friends. But they tell you they're not in town. And of course, there's social media. You cannot.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that was happening?
The reason that was happening is because many people don't know how to honor fear of illness. They don't know how to be present. They don't know, first of all, language. Language is lacking. I can't just tell Ochuka that by the way, I had the cancer spread to the bones. 2016, now the cancer spread has metastasized. And I have 3 years to live. The public knows it because 2015 is the year I went public about my cancer. So everybody knows. And because most of my friends around that time were drawn from the same pool of friends, it's hard. These people love you dearly, but they cannot be closer to you. In fact, most of them just prefer sending help or loving you from a distance. That's still good, but then from the other side, you are affected by it because no conversation has been had about it.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes.
And because most of us tend to, and this is very specific to men. I've experienced it with my female friends, but I've experienced it a lot with male friends. Male friends, mkikosana, they want things to resolve on their own. One day Ochuka will feel easy, and I'll call it, bro, trying to watch ball. And that grudge, that grief has gone by. And this is because the way I am as a person, I hold grudges a lot.
Yes.
Particularly when I feel wronged and I feel like the wrongdoing is more on their end, and they don't want to acknowledge it. I hold that grudge. I hold that shit. So I'm not made up as a man, and because most of my pastimes are also not the same. Men love bars, men love football, men love sports. I used to play football, but then at some point it just died in me. So the connective points were severed.
Yes.
So if you call me about football, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. I want you to tell me, bro.
Address the issue.
Yeah, I was scared. I was scared you're going to die, bro.
Yeah.
And this is where I started writing about dark humor. I'm not generally a humorous person. I'm a very serious person. My serious demeanor. That's my typical. And over the years, I've tried to, spice it up a little bit. Yeah, loosen up a little bit. Because loosening up is very important in life. It makes illness that was otherwise very serious and lethal seem like just an ordinary day. And it also eases up I realized it eased my friends to be able to be free to reach out to me. Because I'm not serious about it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tell me about you fearing. What happened? What happened when we went to, for example, there used to be something called the Pit. The Pit was a hip hop event. I loved going to it because it used to be on a rooftop. So sometimes I used to be there and we'll be dancing and we're talking about art and music. I was like, did you hear about this track that I was talking about? So now, because I understand my friends, they're artists, and because they don't want to hit the nail directly on their head, I bring them to the conversations. I read this book, or this song is talking about, like this, a song by Chino XL. Chino XL died. He's an underground artist. There's also a song by Mortal Technique called You Never Know. It's a song about the girlfriend who had HIV. And he tried to hit on her, was a gentleman. It's a 6-minute song talking about that story. Nikki is the one who introduced me to that song. I never knew it would be very important in my life. So later on, this guy went to prison. He comes back home and went to the girlfriend. The mom, upon seeing her, started crying and then told him to go to the bedroom where this chick used to live. And that there was a note left there for him. It had been 1.5 years. The mother had not opened that room. So the chick confessed in that letter that she had HIV, and she feared infecting him. She feared how that would change their relationship. This is the same thing, just different variations here and there with whatever it is we experience with our friends, with our lovers, with our family members, with the society. Because you imagine as a sick person that you're the one being perceived. The friend is also thinking about just the same.
Yes.
So we also have to honor the other side of the equation, the caregiver, the support system, because they also have valid emotions, whether it is wrong or not, whether it is ethical or moral, it's still valid.
Yes.
You understand? So that's the point where I'm learning to give grace to my friends as well. I'm no longer bitter. In fact, I was the one who was doing more work now to mend my relationships.
You stop being a victim.
Yes.
You decide, okay, I also want this relationship just as bad as you. So let me come to you if you won't bring yourself to me.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
And I like that you mentioned dark humor. Do you think this is something that is, I don't know, acceptable, or should you soma the radar according to which friend you're talking to? Because I don't know. Tell me a little bit about it.
It's over radar kabisa, because most people, dark humor is a taboo, another taboo altogether. Most of us, because most of our immediate response or survival kit is religion. I was not a religious person. I had moved further from religion in high school. So that changed a little bit for me. And now the friends I was meeting, there was an organization called FIKA. Those are free thinkers, later on rebranded to Atheist Kenya. So I had trouble because I just wanted to be a Ochuka.
Yes.
I didn't want to be an atheist.
Yeah.
So every time I'd meet very deeply religious folk, they would think I'm an atheist. Every time I meet my atheist friends, they think you are an atheist like us, But I'm just like, I want to place myself in context.
Yes.
There are days I feel like, something deeper and bigger is here. I'm feeling it. There are days I would go to church with the word. At ACK, Cathedral, and St. Paul's Catholic Church in UN. Not because I was a believer, but I was also raising someone. Sometimes somebody will reach out and they're like, let's pray for you. Let me pray for you right now. I'm not going to pray for you later on. Yeah. And because I come from a very deeply Christian family, I was like, yes, I will just see you as my grandmother because I don't argue with my mother when my grandmother when she holds my hands to pray for me. That's her way of supporting me.
Yes.
You have to be very emotionally intelligent to not castigate other people as living wrongfully. Even when you feel, yes, yes. Sometimes it might anger you a little bit, and that's where context comes in. Do you tell them that, by the way, mimi spendi vile unaniongelesha, because number one, I don't even believe in that you are God. You understand? Or I don't like that when I told you about my day, I just wanted you to support me. I didn't want you to pray for me.
Yes.
I wanted you to bring that managu that you always cook nicely. Hey, that one.
Yeah.
I wanted you to go for a walk with me. I love going to Karura. I wanted you to go to walk Karura with me. There's this event on Sato. How about we go? Understand? So sometimes you have to be very intentional about telling your friend, because I have told you the major part, even for people who don't even go to church, but they're religious, or not even religious, God comes in very easily. And that used to anger me because it means you're not seeing me, the person right in front of you. The person living in front of you, this Ochuka is living in a real world.
Yes.
He didn't eat last 2 days, and he's trying to tell you that, by the way, I have not eaten. And you could spend 30 minutes if you live closer to them, or even half a day or half a morning to go fix them uji. Maybe do their dishes and then leave. You understand? Or you could just take, I had some car, 150 bob, let me send you that. This is your fare. I'll see you next time. These are practical needs. And this is why I usually say, people say that they know how to love. We do not know how to love. And our muscle for loving atrophied. It's weak. We are performing. We are going to the gym to buff up. But that muscle is not there.
Yeah. I feel like you're calling me out.
Yeah. So that's what happens, and that's the transition that happens with my friend. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of forgiveness. Remember, I had to forgive people who said very mean stuff to me.
People who didn't even apologize.
Yes. I was a student leader. I used to give bursary to people. My friends. I used to even give my room because I was living outside of campus. So the room I got in campus, I used to give it to people who didn't even get it. These people vanished altogether. And I had reasons to be bitter. And there was the back and forth. People would reach out during certain times, particularly when they're needing some help, and then they would vanish again. That changes how you love.
Yeah.
And it creates a trembling paranoia around you. You're always, you're always very suspicious of love. You're very sus of love. And when you're very suspicious of love, you cannot love, let alone give love.
Yeah.
Understand?
Yeah.
So that changed because there's a lot of forgiveness, and you also have to learn which friends do I, after having tried all my best, do I love to let go. Which circle of friends do I have? Because there's circles as well. There's people who deeply know you. There are people who you're acquainted with. There are people in your circle, maybe work, profession, shared spaces. There are people who are good at emotional support. There are people who are good financially than you. I used to feel bad. There's a friend of mine also, I won't mention her name, but she has been a constant all through these years. I've never met her. There was a time she used to have this habit of sending me $15 every month for medicine. We used to call it a medical kit, and that changed my idea of love because, number one, she's a chick. And she's a friend, not even my girlfriend. And she's far off. I've not seen her. She lives in Germany. You understand? And I am a man. The way I am typically have been raised, it means that I'm the person who's always supposed to be supporting my female friends. So that is changing my narrative. And it's constant so much that you have to learn it. I have to learn that, my friend is loving me this way because she's not here presently and physically. So I have to be able to let that love in. And accept it.
How do you teach yourself to accept without feeling like you're a charity case or is it okay to feel like you're a charity case? Or how do you navigate a situation where you have to come to terms with the fact that you might be struggling, especially financially, or even in day-to-day activities? And also, do you ask for support explicitly? Do you say, this is what I need you, Roberta, to do for me? Or should I be the one trying to figure out what you need so that I can... How do you navigate that situation?
Well, it starts with a lot of honesty work on my end. There's a lot of honest moments, reflections, nini, meditations, a lot of them. I had to unlearn a lot. Your friends, your lover, your family, your child, whoever they are around you as a support system, even your doctor, they cannot treat you well if you do not tell them the full length of your information, of what you're going through. You know, so, like, remember now I've mapped my friends. I know nikitakaga this kind of help. My illness years also coincided with a lot of time when I was creating a lot of art, music and art. Friends like Orony and Romy Swahili were very critical because Romy is not very open with his emotions, but we recorded a lot of songs. Sometimes I would go to Nakuru to crash at his place. Same to Genetic. So these people performed a certain love function in their own way. Understand? So I had to be honest. I cannot expect Romy to show support for me emotionally. Iyo, itakuja sometime, occasionally inakujaga, but it is not the given. You understand? So that honesty allowed me first forgiveness. It also allowed me to love these people the way they are. And it also allowed me to ask not to have awkward conversations. We could still pick on each other and say, "But why are you not always talking about how you're feeling when you see me down? Why don't you just say that you're scared?"
Yeah.
So lots of hard conversations, but then also reflecting back. And I told you earlier that when you say illness is a burden, you're not wrong. You should say that illness is a burden because I don't imagine a world where cancer is not a burden.
Yeah.
I don't imagine a situation where a sickle cell disease warrior is not a burden because they go through pain nearly every other day. Pain is part and parcel of who they are. I don't imagine people with degenerative diseases that are not curable, where that is not a burden. I don't imagine where people with endometriosis, we saw how Njambi fought so hard. And we have so many cases around. There's no way that is easy. We've seen people with mental development or mental health challenges. That's not easy.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that already people with normal lives, in quote, friends with normal lives, friends we imagine have normal lives, or relationships that we imagine are just normal people, there's no illness in there, is complicated. And needs a lot of work.
Yes.
So imagine if you introduce another constraint. There's a lot of deliberate work needed. But mostly, it happened that most of my friends were also very open-hearted. They were able to take criticism. They were able to, even when it doesn't happen immediately, feel remorseful over time. And then once you have built that friendship, most friendship tend to work on their own. And don't say that now you stop.
Yeah.
Once you have known people, now you know how to be there and support each other, not them.
Supporting you.
Each other. Because it's a home. A house is not a home. These our bodies are just houses. Home is the love we give to it, the tending we give to it, the cleaning. Remember, you cook, you eat, dishes, laundry, repeat cycle reigns. That's life. The mundane, it's very tedious, it's boring. That's love.
Yes.
And for me, I always believe love is not the grand gestures. It's usually the small, going back to the base, come back to the middle. If you cannot come back to the middle with me, because that's what I have still done with friends. I remember walking from Hurlingham to Lavington because Martine had a crisis. She had cut her wrist, and I had to climb a wall. I was 2 days fresh off the hospital. I had to climb a wall to go to their house. You have to show up for people, you know. And that moment in 2019 with Martine passed on in 2019. She committed suicide. She died by suicide. Again, language.
Yeah, language.
Changed a lot because while I was seeing that Martine was a PhD graduate at Cambridge, working at Microsoft, earning almost 2 million Kenyan shilling. Remember, we were childhood friends, so we were competing. I saw that she achieved everything I want to be.
Before you.
Yeah, she's looking at me like, oh, wow, you're a good dad. How did you do it? You're so grounded. You're so loving. Who are you? We are both having these thoughts. I saw this only later on in a note, in a diary, because we never talked about it. We assumed love and friendship were just going to roll around, but that's not the case. Even when Martina had known me for nearly 17 years. So she's not the kind of person who would ask, how do I show up? She would, and almost all the time it would be right. So while we shouldn't assume that, it means that every now and then they're check-ins. I love check-ins. Check-ins means you are checking the temperature. Are they in a position you can talk? What's the weather today like? You understand? And then are there specific needs today for us to talk about, for us to help each other with? Because these are not the same. Siku hazifanani.
True.
Yeah? Even for every other person, siku hazifananagi. So maybe the help I gave you last time, or the way I talked to you last time, if you were to record this same conversation maybe next week, it won't be the same.
True.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's the same thing, because the life of a chronically ill person changes drastically. And there are days when they need the general caregiving, hospital, have they taken their meds? Are they eating well? Are they sleeping well? Are they calm and at peace? Are they having troublesome emotions? Are they horny? Are they grieving a heartbreak that they had recently? All these things are general because they touch on an average next person, but there are also specific ones. Did you go for your chemo last week? There you said. Now you're checking in.
Yes.
You said you ran out of a drug last month when we were talking. I'm going to have some money. Let me send you some 200 bob. Utaongeza na yenye uko nayo. It does not mean that you had all the 15,000 that this person needed for that money. It does not mean that people were contributing to me even as far as June this year, when I thought I would go to India, and I was seeing 10, I was seeing 5, I was seeing even 1 bob. It did not mean that people wanted to give me the 2.3 million that I needed to go to India for stem cell transplant. No. They knew that this 1 bob contributes to the 2.3.
Yes.
They knew that if I took off just a tiny bit of their hour of the day, that if I were to, because friends can bully you, they can bully you lovingly. Teasing, this is why I love flirting and dark humor, because it loosens the grip of illness and the seriousness of grief. Yeah. Life is already too fucked up.
Yeah.
So we need to loosen up a bit, even no matter how religious you are, because I believe there are humor in every aspect of life, whether you are a farmer or you are a church-going person or you are a reverend, or you are a monk, or you are celibate, or you are a hoe, whatever it is you're going through in your life, there is humor and joy in it.
Yes.
Find it. Let it keep you afloat, because without it, life is very rough. So those are the nitty-gritties, the small to little lovings that come in, whether you're talking about friendship or you're talking about intimacy.
Okay. I want us to pivot into romantic relationships. And my first question around this is disclosure. I want us to dive a bit into disclosure. So what does your dating life look like? And I like that you mentioned being horny. First of all, do sick people get horny when you're going through? I have
no fucking idea.
When you know, I'm trying to think. You're going through all these things.
Oh, that button really see you.
And then some. Like, you're going through the normal human issues, and then now you're extra sick. So what time do you even have to be thinking about?
Yeah, getting late
and getting hard and getting wet. Paint a picture for me about what that is like. Is it even a reality? Because it's, what I understand, and from the article I just read before we started recording, you've really captured it beautifully. You've talked about how, first of all, society doesn't see you as a sexual being in that moment. Nobody is thinking, oh my goodness, Ochuka needs a blowjob, except maybe Ochuka. Or even if we're thinking about it, it's like, I still have to tiptoe around it. I mean, how can I fuck him when he's sick? He's sick
in a wheelchair.
7 days out of the week. He's, all that. How do you even navigate such a relationship? But start with the disclosure. Are you telling everyone that you're sick? Because to be honest, Ochuka, when I met you, I didn't know you were sick. I thought you were really handsome, so I went and Googled you and just started checking your pages out. And then on your Facebook, I see you have a fundraiser for, it's myeloid leukemia. How do you say it?
Acute myeloid.
Acute myeloid. So I'm like, what? This guy doesn't even look unwell. So even without you, I truly would never have guessed that you're ill. So how do you tell everyone that you're unwell when you start talking to them? When is the right time to disclose? Does it matter? Is it important? Because I don't think you and I have even had that conversation. Like, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm going through. So how do you navigate that?
The default is you don't tell. For a lot of people,
Intentionally
especially men.
Or
Especially women. Women are more open to telling. I hate to bring in the logic emotion thing.
Yes.
I believe logic and emotion are languages of humanness.
Yes.
In fact, it's just the language and the letters that changes how we perceive or experience them. They're just the same thing, really. So my first encounters, this is why I was telling you later on now the first dating I had was a beautiful lady, very graceful, very artsy, very cute, called Layla. Layla was my perfect match. Like everything of us matched. The chemistry was bomb. We were attracted to each other sexually and romantically. She was very responsible. She wanted to be in it. She knew I was a young father, didn't mind. She knew I was sick, did not mind. She knew I didn't have a job at that time, did not mind yet again. But I was so deep in grief because I had not processed Nikki's grief. So that complicated that. And I had not processed, how do I let myself be loved? That's difficult. It's a difficult conversation. So, of course, the relationship didn't survive mostly because I did not allow it. Had I shown up, because it's about showing up. If you don't show up, if you're in your house,
there's a natural death.
Love does not show up and come knocking by the door. I'm coming to love you. No. You have to go out, you have to put in work. And even if you go out and don't put in work, it will not survive because one person will feel tilted. That's not emotional justice. So that is the tragedy of my first dating story after Nikki and after cancer. The immediate one. It was beautiful, but I fucked it up because I was in my wall, deep in it.
What are some of the maybe physical or like practical manifestations of how you were showing up or not showing up in the relationship that pushed for it to end the way it ended or make you feel the way you feel about it?
Number one, because I am such a nurturer, I find it hard to always let another person care for me. So I'd be still sick and I'm still doing the chores. I find it hard to ask her, please do it for me. And because she was not a person who generally, there are people who, like me, you don't need to remind me to do this and this, particularly house chores. And because those usually take a huge chunk of a chronically ill person, particularly when fatigue and energy levels dip and you're sick or you're during your fatigue, your flare-up days. Flare-ups are when symptoms become slightly more aggressive and you can't take it anymore, so you need more rest or you need to be at the hospital. So sometimes I would think that she's just there sitting and I want her to do something for me, but I'm also fearful for asking. Because I feel like if I'm asking her, it will be a burden. I feel like, see, you're just a human being. You see I'm in bed. You understand? So these conversations were very hard because that's not how she was raised. That's not how she is. It did not mean that she was indifferent to me. She actually wouldn't. When we had our last conversations, I realized that she actually never minded at all. If only I asked her.
Yes.
You understand?
Was you doing things for yourself, making her feel uninvolved and like not giving her the space to love you the way she should have?
And not useful. She felt not useful.
And we all need to feel needed in relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even though I was assuring her, even though we were having sex, despite the difficulty, even though we had accommodated the constraints around having sex in terms of positioning, in terms of how do we, because you can't fuck like a robot, you can't push somebody to the wall and you're sick, you just from chemo. You probably need cuddling. You probably just need a blowjob. You know, you probably need something softer, a walk, or just cook together and laugh, or watch a movie, even though I don't like movies. So even though we were still loving each other well, there was that part that still didn't work out. And like you said, we all want to be needed. And that's the thing about being ill. And that ties to disclosure. Disclosure means you're putting being needed in crisis. You're putting your worth, your worthiness in crisis. Most people expect, and it happens almost the same way, by the way. It's the truth. When you tell somebody you are sick, they cringe. Because it's a burden. And it's a burden they have not learned to inhabit. They have not learned to say that by the way. After by the way, unaweza meet mse who is healthy and they have an accident and they become disabled.
Yes.
You might say, mimi siwezi fall in love na mse disabled. And then one day you meet somebody you really, really love. And that's the person your heart settles for. What happens to your script? So this is the thing. People expect rejection when you tell them something awful about you. And that's why people lie. And that's why people withhold and stonewall. So those who are like sort of, I used to lie by omission. And because at some point around 2018, 17, now I had come from India, I'm recovering. There's a possibility I might recover even fully and achieve remission. And I'm now in support groups. So most likely the physical manifestations are not there as much, but you can still see Ochuka is sick. So I stayed a longer period of being celibate and not dating. These are two things, because nowadays people are single and they're having sex. So I was not dating and I'm also celibate. But I thought I was just in my element. I wasn't. I was fearful. I was fearful. Even after doing all this work. Remember, I have done a lot of emotional homework, but I'm still having these thoughts. And this is why I'm telling you, you can be a vet, you can be 50, you can be 60, and you think, hey, by there, me hakuna kitu inaweza ni surprise kwa life. But then life says, yo, hold my card, hold my water. You know, that's the thing. You have to constantly do the work, do self-auditing, meditate, reflect. In what ways are you an awful person? In what ways has this illness made you so much a beautiful soul? In what ways has it changed your narrative and your view of life? In what ways has it made you love better? You know? And then the other thing I started learning, and this is something I've always had even before I was sick. Generally, I'm a nurturer. Most men are expected to provide in terms of financially. And I'm very good at nurturing. So I wanted, now remember now, I'm now finding out who is the ideal woman for me. I'm finding out, I'm looking for a woman who is a bit open-hearted to know that while I might not be able to maybe finesse her with very good tours and all this, fancy stuff, I can still do the basics very well, probably better than her. And that's how I'm going to love her. So if she's able and open to welcome that love, good. You understand? So I am also demystifying the metrics we use for love. A man is supposed to provide financially, a woman is supposed to fuck you and take care of chores at home. Understand? You look at the metrics. So those metrics don't work in chronic illness because chronic illness has already violated the script.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to find new ones. And you have to find willing people, not just finding Roberta Bobbie and saying, I want to be your boyfriend. And Roberta Bobbie does not want to be your boyfriend, your girlfriend. You understand? You have to find people who are willing to, one, do the work, sit in it with you, and learn together. Because love is learning. Love is service and learning together. Without it, it falters. So that is now me finding myself, but they're the way I love as a man. Because there are so many rote learning that we had even as a child by watching people. Even though I had a very healthy love and romance from my grandparents, I wanted to one day have a relationship like that. There was still, because even for them, the typical normative behavior of our man and a woman is supposed to love and take care of each other was still ingrained in me. I had to unlearn that because so many days I would not be able to perform those roles as traditionally prescribed. So that was changing for me. Yeah.
Before we started recording this episode, I didn't think I would be learning the lessons that I'm learning right now. I mean, these things seem very obvious to the naked eye, but I'm starting to see things in a very different way. And something that I've mostly picked up is that these relationships, when you're in a relationship with, or in any sort of relationship, whether friendship or whatever, with someone who's living with chronic illness, it's that the deliberation and intention surpasses everything else. I mean, it's like a normal relationship, but here now you have to put the extra care and the extra effort and extra intention. And I love that about that, because you're not just speaking to people who live with chronic illness, you're also speaking to someone like me who is being forced to kind of wake up in the midst of relationships and pick up my weight, pull up my intention if I've been slacking on it. And Ochuka, I'd like to ask, you've said mostly men do not disclose and women maybe have it easier because, how we are socialized maybe. So what would you advise for someone to do? Do you think it would be advisable that, you disclose earlier on in the relationship so that someone can know what they're getting themselves into? Or do you just, let's go with the flow? Pali itafika pali. Because kuna watu wengine wanaishi na illness zenye necessarily they don't manifest physically. Yeah. Or they do not have to go to the hospital as often. Or it puts them down for a while and then they're back up again. So what would you advise from your personal perspective?
I don't know. I was reading an article today. I'll send it to you about the lost art of fingering. The first time I learned that you can actually finger a girl, a chick, we were in a lab.
In high school?
In class 7. Science lab. These guys were talking about, we were also learning to we were learning to drive. So we would steal, there's a guy called Keith. So Keith used to steal his mom's car and would train us how to drive it because he already knew how to drive.
Yeah.
So he was talking about fingering his girlfriend. First of all, you are dating and you're in class 7.
Yeah.
Bro. So,
fingering
how? What happens? Because most of us had not even imagined what's below there. How does it look like? So there were other bigger boys, bigger not because of age, bigger because they had experienced something you hadn't.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that these people had layered down and found the heaven, right? Because the way they were talking about it was really fancy and beautiful. And it was like we were so horny about it. So this is the thing. The thumb rule is say it as soon as possible. And when now, after Layla, remember I was feeling guilty for how I fucked up in that relationship.
Yes. Wait, did you guys ever, before we continue, did you guys ever talk about it?
Yes, we did. Yeah, yes, we did. We occasionally talk.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But I think we sorted it out.
How does she feel post the relationship? Like,
she's now married and
okay.
Yeah, we are good friends. I would say that. I think a year after we had many hard conversations, but the final breakthrough came 1.5 years later after she had gone back to the UK. So that allowed us to finally be friends. And I noticed something very, very funny. Sometimes you become friends later on, not when you need. And there's no manual, man. There's no manual. You just wing it. And sometimes you have to leave a little room because most people expect that when you break up, there's going to be only bitterness and grief. And you can feel all that. But there's also possibility that you can still be friends and you can still be decent with each other. That's what happened with us and Layla. So I was talking about the thumb rule. The thumb rule is when now, after Layla 2018-19, I was like, I had even a PDF. I think I made a post about talking stages and how there's a screenshot I saw of a meme when somebody asks you, so tell me about yourself, and there's somebody ready with a PDF, so they just send that.
Yeah.
I think that's how I approached life because it's kind of like grief when somebody tells you, sana nearly passed, ebu tuambie nini ilihappen, alikuwa mgonjwa. And then you tell the story over and over, 1,001 times. It's the same thing. Because there are people coming into your life, there are people going out. There are people in your life, but they don't know you the way they knew you 1 month ago. You understand? So you keep on telling your grief story over and over. So much that you want to have a PDF somewhere and say, hey, but you want to give us my day. This is it. Don't ask me about that shit. So there's still a bit of some resentment, but sometimes there are easier days. So I used to feel the first chick I'm going to meet after Layla, I'm going to tell you immediately. I realize that's a very awful move. It's very emotionally unintelligent, actually. It's very inconsiderate. Remember, I as a sick person also have a responsibility towards somebody I'm interested in or attracted to. You understand?
Which is what?
Which is, I have experienced illness longer than they have, longer than she has. You understand? I am in it. I am it. So if I were to relay this information to her, it's like I am wounding her anew.
The grief that you already went through,
Yes.
the acceptance, the pain, the
Yes.
anger.
Yes.
You're subjecting this person to it
Yes.
in this moment.
Yes. And I want them to have a crash program. Remember, we are doing 3 semesters in 1 year.
Nikwambie ndo kasonge tuendelee na relationship.
You understand? You see how unfair that is?
Yes.
So I noticed later on, because I remember that time I joined Tinder. Tinder was not having a bad reputation back then, I think 2019. And I was operating on a mode. You ask me about I am, I'm going to be very fluent. I'm still fluent and articulate about what I am and who I am, but it is a very bad move because you have to look at people person by person. You have to put them, you have to understand, you have to ease. If you decide to say it immediately, and I still recommend that you find ways to disclose as soon as possible, so that you know whether this iko ama haiko, because it comes ultimately to that. But you have to also be empathetic towards people you are interested in, whether it is in a casual thing or it's a serious relationship or is a friend you're making anew, because we all know how adult friendships are very hard to maintain and even make. So you have to know how do you relay it. That's why I'm saying it's emotional, because it's a frequency. Mnatafuta na vibe. Niku flat. So you have to know, hey, by the way, I feel like we are ready. Because you never actually really know. Sometimes you can know, but most of the times you don't really know. So you need kumbayatu, like you just know. Whatever it is, I'm just going to say it. So try and say it as soon as possible. I'd say a month. That allows you the space to process things, allows you the space to also grieve together. Because when somebody finds out you're sick, unless they're a very mean person, they will feel it. Yeah, particularly me. Remember, I've been sick for 14 years. So when I'm telling them, I'm not just telling them I have cancer. I'm also telling them the history that I had. At some point, a babe will look at you, by the way, so what body count do you have? Body count is not just people you fucked. They are people you've seen. And what is the nature of those relationships? How did they turn out? Should I tell them about Layla a month after? Would they say that, you're going to treat me like Layla? You understand? Yeah. So you have to be really intentional in terms of it's a flirting game. I don't want to say game. It's a flirtatious intimacy. It's a dance.
Do you think it's more difficult to date when you're living with chronic illness?
Absolutely.
Or do you think it's a bit easier and better because now you have to put in the intention. You have to put in the hard work. So you're coming from somewhere with a history of, I've been here, I know how kind that this might go, so now I have to be a bit more dedicated. Because I feel like someone like me might be a bit more casual or a bit, I'm
immune.
not afraid. I don't have the fear of confronting death. I'm not thinking in the way that you're thinking. So do you think it's harder or do you think it's a bit...
All right, people of the internet, I hope that you're enjoying this episode very much. And I just had a break to tell you about my new book. You know, everybody says that there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their town, in their city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call brothers, but there are no jobs. Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world and there is no one to do them except you. I work for Americans myself. I work for Europeans. I work for the Chinese. I work for the Australians. I work for the Canadians. And so, because I have done so much for myself, I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a digital book called Goldmine 18 Hustles for Africans. And then in 2025, AI came. People say AI is taking away our jobs. And for me, I'm going to say false. there are actually AI jobs. Jobs are not being taken by AI, but there are new jobs online that are there because of AI. Now, mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. And for now, in my new book, we have 25 online and offline jobs that you can leverage on if you do not have a job. So in this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned over the 15 years that I have worked online. So, what can you do online? You can become an executive assistant for busy folks in Europe, America, Canada, and get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. Okay? You can build a lot of things. Build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce shop without capital, be an affiliate marketer, or you can also become actually an English tutor and tens of AI jobs. If you have a job, that is fine. But I also know that you can buy this book for that brother, for that sister, for that mother, for that cousin, for that husband who is watching Netflix all day at home. Buy it for your friend who is always asking for cash. You know that friend. Now, all the information is on the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or go to my website, which is odworjigero.co.ke. And now, back to programming.
Better.
I'm just taking back my word. When you started, I said absolutely.
Yes.
Now that you have finished,
Yeah.
I'm saying both.
Yes.
Here's why I'm saying both, because if you have done the work like I have done the work, it's easier. It's easier because I can be able to have these conversations with you and I won't feel rejected if you say no. If you don't want to fuck me, if you don't want to have a relationship with me, and just, okay, stinks, but life. Yeah. I'm not a victim anymore. Yeah. Yes, cancer still runs every thread of my life, but it does not rule me as a victim. It's just something I live with, just like my breath, the one that I draw in and out. Understand?
Yeah.
No, because many people have not done their work. So they hang on to it so much that sometimes they even want you to love them because they are sick. Do you know that?
It's their personality.
Yeah. Or they want you to keep on cutting them slack because they are sick. Or I want you to keep on, carrying the weight because I am the one who's sick.
Even excusing bad behavior, horrible communication.
Yes.
So that also brings me to the next question. So is it okay if I hold you very accountable in our relationship without caring that you just came from hospital?
Yes.
Like, fuck you being sick, nigga. You hurt my feelings.
Yeah, like today. If I cancelled and never told you, how would you have felt? Despite me honest, I just arrived in Nairobi today in the morning.
Yes. To be honest, I feel like in this situation, I'm able to extend extra grace that I wouldn't necessarily extend to someone who's not sick. But also, I feel like I need to learn the delicate balance. I need to know it's okay, I can hold you accountable and be like, hey, you made me wait for you and you didn't communicate. But how do I do that, Ochuka, when I'm completely understanding of the situation that you're in? I'm even afraid of calling you Kuku Harakisha because I'm just, it's okay. If you come late, it's fine.
That's the fun moment. Learn. I love flirting. I love making people feel beautiful and loved and calm. And that has always allowed me to call people out even when it's harsh. They will not feel the weight as much. Let us learn to flirt with each other. And I hate the idea of crass flirting. Of lewd language, a crass language. No, that's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about making people feel warm in themselves, making people come home to themselves. Home is a place you feel intimately loved and nourished. That's what we need to do. And yes, we have been raised to say we have to be brutally honest. Nah, not always.
The brutal part.
We can be intimately honest.
Yes.
And that comes with our courage. Love is courage. Without courage, you're a coward lover. Courage is what centers you to be able to hold me accountable. Say, but hey, you are supposed to be here at 12. Ama mati meshikana kwa hiyo jam. You see, umepunguza hiyo weight, but still you're still asking the question.
Yes.
You understand? So nowadays ni kama token niliisha. You're not, because people feel awful when they are put on the spotlight. Nobody likes to be put. It's like you are a gladiator.
Yes.
And you're in the amphitheater of fighting and performing for love and intimacy. Hey, so toka nilisha ama tu ile ujiasho alituma. You are asking about it in a nice way because you've not gotten laid, and you know this person is in the hospital. They're feeling awful. Hey, but ile gig ili Ivana. Did that gig work out? Because you know finances are still a part of love.
Yes.
And when finances are not good, most things don't usually go well or correct. So you're trying to find out a way without spotlighting this person and putting them on a pedestal so that they are softening. Because once somebody feels seen, they breathe and they soften and they are able to tell you things.
Yes.
When people feel criticized over and over, because illness is a criticism to life.
Yes.
It fractures the idea and the script we have of life. So adding on top of that pressure, when
and if you're sick all the time, it can keep coming up all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to find your language around it and be very playful. Playfulness is something we have lost. That's why I love flirting. Playfulness. I used to be very serious as much as I'm still serious. In fact, it's my default. But I'm learning to be joyful. I'm learning to be playful sometimes so that these cringe moments are not as devastating as they would have been if I wasn't. And another thing, illness and chronic illness and disability heightens sensations. And when I mean heightening, you know,
You're
when
feeling something, you're feeling it extra.
Yeah, but then again, people usually see things as when heightening means only exaggerating or something. Heightening can also mean deeping. So you can be too horny and you can be asexual.
Yes.
Because imagine, I live in pain every single day of my life, particularly my lower back. So I'm sure you have been in pain. I was listening to a podcast about period pain, your podcast. And it got me thinking, because the way I usually have conversations, most men cannot understand my pain.
Yes.
Women get it almost immediately because I usually relate it to cramps. Cramps is what I usually feel, particularly when my liver was distended. So I used to feel a lot of pain on my right upper abdomen. And it was a lot. It still happens more and every now and then. It's one of the sources of my pain. My back, my feet, constant migraine. So if you are in constant pain, it means that even the enthusiasm of having sex dips.
Yes.
Or sometimes it comes too much because your body is raw. Your nervous system is raw. It's pricked. It's bleeding. It's lustful. It's heated. It wants love. It wants to be loved in excess. And then there are days it dips because so many things. Antidepressants usually contribute to low sexual desire. Chemotherapy can sometimes affect your sexual desire. All these meds, mental spectrum or emotions that we feel as human beings affect your sexual desire.
Definitely.
It can go to the extreme. It can go to the lowest end. It can be sometimes in the middle. It can be you do not know. But if you don't talk about it, then it becomes harder for you to fulfill yourself romantically or even sexually.
So what does sex look like for you? Are you guys just having normal sex like us? And I mean, and by how does your sex life look? What is it set up like?
Oh, wow. Sex is I'm going to say something very funny. I did not have sex for 2.5 years. I will not disclose the years. But because a major part of these 2.5 years was spent in the hospital, nearly half of it, bedridden. And then you come out and you go to a wheelchair. Understand? So at some point, I was a person with disability. I still am, because after a certain threshold, chronic illness crosses over and becomes disability. So this is not to take away people who are born with disability, because I think we will attach the article to this episode.
Yes.
disability comes in variations in life. There are people who are born with it. There are people who get it in life, later on in life. There are people who get it as a result of sickness. And then you now find yourself how to forge about life. So that was the same case for me. So having not had sex, because sex is, I know people say sex is just sex. I don't think so. I think sex, particularly a fulfilling sex, which is something I really am deliberate on, is not just sex. There's so many things involved. And when sickness is at the center of it, you can imagine the work is even doubled. So I'm coming from a place where I have not had sex, and because many women already don't imagine a man can go that long, not even a month, without sex. And then I'm dealing with the fact that at some point, I didn't even have enough good self-perception. So even self-pleasuring was not something I was in these 2.5 years. I'd not even touched myself.
Because you don't feel like you need to, or
Yes.
the urge just
The
isn't
urge just
there?
died, and I was feeling angry about my body. It is in pain constantly. I'm trying to take care of you. I'm trying to go to the hospital. I'm trying to fundraise for you. But you're treating me like this. So I'm resentful towards my own body. And when you resent your body, it knocks out itself so much.
Inakusikiza.
So I had to learn self-pleasure first. How do I do self-pleasure? I believe that food and sustenance is at the center of it.
Yes.
I changed my diet, my sleeping, even though sleeping is still a big issue for me. I sleep not more than 5 hours, mostly 4 hours.
Because of pain?
Because of pain, because of how my body has adapted to those 4 hours, so much that it is not a problem. Kitambo, it used to be a problem because it would affect my day to day. But nowadays I've learned to work around it, and I don't need to take sleeping pills for it. That's the thing. So once you sort out your diet and you sort out complementary things around sex, because many people, I know people say that once you're circumcised, you're supposed to just be getting a good blowjob because you're clean. Because you are not. You understand? You have to understand that things contribute to your sexual and emotional hygiene.
Yes.
And this includes, if you drink keg, most likely it's going to affect your semen. If I'm fresh from the hospital, if you give me blowjob, be certain that you're going to be smelling medicine. So I have to give you a heads up, pun intended. I have to give you a heads up because I don't want to put you at risk. I have to be taking care of you while in it.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
I also have to understand that I'm not just giving. Pleasure is an axis, and it's a give and take. It's a flatting. So if I'm the one who's expecting that you're the one who's going to be initiating because you are in more need, because you're a normal person, then I'm getting it wrong. I'm also supposed to initiate, like today, can we get some? You understand? So that the agency is not on one person. So this is now communicative. And then you move towards other things like, exercise. If you are a gym person, if you love nature, if you love doing chores and having your house look neat, these things contribute to our hygiene, our intimate hygiene. And then they make you have a more fulfilling sex. Understand? And I feel that sex has changed so much for me. Not because before it was different. I was still very deliberate in terms of having a meaningful sex. Even when it is a fling. Even when it is casual.
Yes.
That was something that was there even before I got sick. But now when I got sick, it heightened.
Yes.
And I was now feeling, there's nothing to lose. If somebody wants to fuck me and they feel like I'm handsome, it does not matter whether I have stage 4 cancer and I'm going to die tomorrow. They would want to get me laid.
Yes.
And I would want to do just as much because I enjoy their presence. I enjoy experiencing them. So that changed over the years. And then I learned that a sick body is not the same. And this is how I learned it. Now I was putting in context because I had this conversation with Awar when she had her first period. Sorry, baby. I'm outing you, but it's
it's life.
It's life. You get it.
Yeah.
So I was talking about it. I was telling her that I learned over the years that women mostly live in perpetual pain and repair. You look at the cycle of a woman. A man does not have that luxury, even us men have our own period cycle. But women, I'm talking specifically to women and their period cycle. the menstrual cycle. If you look at it, there's a way. It doesn't mean that this is the personality of that woman of yours. It means that it affects them during particular phases of their period.
Yes.
That's the same thing with illness, because this is now something that is with you. Periods are with you.
Yes.
Because you're a biological being.
Yes.
So because you are able to get prego, so you are able to actually have menses. So that means that this is something you have to live with. The same thing now with illness. Periods and illness, they share a lot, but they're not the same. I don't want to say that period and illness are the same.
No, it's okay. We are smart people.
Yeah, of course. You have to be careful. So that's the same. I noticed that with that, my body needed to be fucked. I want to use fuck because that's a language. This is how we disarm the language.
And
I don't
this is
want
how
to
we
use
speak
sex.
on a normal day.
Yeah, this is how we use on a normal day
Yes.
anyway. Who says I want you to?
I want to have sex with you.
I want to have a polite moment with you. You know, nobody says that.
Yeah.
So the sick body is supposed to be tended to differently. Learn, and this is also the same thing. For example, if you had a lover and this is how you used to fuck, and then you meet another person, you know, you don't fuck them the way you used to fuck your old lover.
You learn
them.
new person.
You might find that some things they share, some things they totally different. In fact, they don't even like it. That's the same thing. So with a body that is sick and going through things that is disabled or able differently, you learn the ways around it. And sex the way it was meant, because penetrative sex is at the center of sex. It's at the center of patriarchal sex because it's conquest. I'm going to give you rounds the whole night because sasa hiyo ndo mimi ndo ndume. You understand? I'm not gonna do foreplay. We don't do that shit here. We're gonna just jump into it. You realize foreplay is so important because there are days your dick cannot even rise. You understand?
Yes.
Vaginal dryness is a center of cancer and disability and illness for many women. You understand?
Yes.
What about extended periods when a woman bleeds for 2 months?
Yes.
Does that mean the sex cannot happen? Are you open enough to have period sex with her? Is it a conversation you want to have with them? Understand? When they tell you no and they say, tomorrow I'll give you a very good blowjob, just watch it to relax. Will you be hurt as a man? Will your ego as a man be hurt? Juu demu yako amekunyima sex for the night.
Or because your dick can't get hard.
Yeah. So things change for me because now I realize, cuddling is very important for me. I love walking. I love intellectual conversations because they stimulate me and I feel loved. I feel seen through them. I love when quality time. Although I'm a very isolated person, but when I am open or we do parallel play.
Yes.
You might love movies. I don't love movies. I can just be there holding you and I am listening to my music on my headphones. You're watching your movie. I'm still intimate with you. It's still quality time.
Yes.
Understand? And then there are two small compromises you have to make. You understand? And those are very important, and especially for you as a chronically ill person, because it's often expected the caregiver, who is your partner or your spouse or your partner, is the one who's supposed to be making compromises for you because you need them the most. That might be the case, but you also as a person need to make compromises in terms of how you communicate, make your partner feel loved. When you feel like you've withdrawn, be a person who goes back steps behind and say, hey, Jana, I was a bit harsh on you. I don't know where that came from. Or I'm frustrated about this and this and this. Conversations are it. Conversations is where the mending happens. You do not love me just by it. And even if that was the case, I will not know it.
Yeah.
I only know it
it
once you have told me.
Yes.
Once I have told you, hey, but I like you, I'm attracted to you. You know, that's how, or I love this and this about you, or I don't like this or this about you. This we can change, this we can change, this we can compromise, this is something we just have to learn to deal with. Understand? It's not as spontaneous as when you meet on a lift and you're going to be fucking. No. It's not like
Not in the
Morning Glory where you're going to be, no. It's not like you can have those risky sex at the rooftop. How would I have it when I'm on a wheelchair?
Yes.
Understand?
Yes.
And sometimes certain intimacies take center stage than the actual sex. Yeah. Massages, for example, I love massages. I give very good massages as a result of it, because there are periods I went through strenuous and painful physiotherapy, and it was so hard to live in my body. My body was unforgiving. So I had to learn how to also give myself a massage. And also with a word also, like during those periods when she's still tiny, I learned how to take care of her. So that gives you magical hands. And what better gifts to give a lover than that?
Yeah.
So you in your own spaces, just look around your life. And this is why you need to really be reflective and honest. All of us are able differently. All of us love differently. All of us can not love the same way. So you have to know in your life and take account and realize, how do you show up for each other? How do you show up in an altered space of intimacy, because it has been altered and it will keep on being altered through your life? And that's the striking difference between the sex of a normal person and that of a chronically healed person.
Ochuka, listening to you speak, I don't know what I was expecting today, but listening to you speak, I'm learning that maybe CC normal people, we're just doing this intimacy, love, sex, relationships thing wrong. Because I can tell there's not much intentionality that goes behind, when there's no thought of, can I call it imminent death? I mean, when
Mortality.
when there's no fear, I don't know if it's a fear, or when there's no thought about, I could lose this person, why not love them the most today, even if it's in the most casual of situations. And also something that I'm getting that is really, really central to this whole conversation is communication. We have to strip all the ego, all the fears that we might be carrying, all the fears of being awkward or
Cringe.
yeah, and just
Or doing a wrong thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just lay ourselves bare. But when you think about it, this is not something that is solely reserved for people who are living with maybe they're able differently or chronic illness. This should literally be a way of life for everybody. This is how we're supposed to be. So that's what I'm taking from this conversation. And I feel very, very enlightened. I feel like I'm living lighter. Like I'm someone who holds a lot of fear when it comes to having such conversations, or even asking questions to people who, you feel like maybe I want to be there, I want to learn how to support you in the best way, but also I don't know if I will be offensive, or if I'm showing care, or if I should give you space. But I'm realizing all that can be handled with just communication. I should be able to say, hey, Ochuka, I'm very confused about how to ask you these questions, or I'm really scared, or I want to make a really dark joke. Can I just go ahead and make my joke? Communication is solving all these issues. My goodness, you've helped me more in my own personal relationships today than therapy has this year. Because I've seen a different perspective. And I don't know why I was blind. Was I really blind to this side? I think when you're not going through something, you're not thinking
It's
about it.
outside of you.
Yeah, but once you're forced to sit in that situation, because my mom had cancer as well.
Yeah.
And I noticed when she was diagnosed, not to bring myself into the
No,
conversation,
you have to.
but
You have to. Because they're connected.
I noticed the thing with, friends, how friends treat you is different. And people don't know how to talk to you. I even have a friend who I had to ask him. He stopped talking to me when my mom got cancer. And now it's been like 4 years later. My mom is okay now. But this guy, I had to ask him, we were so close, and he just stopped talking to me, and I had to ask him, what happened? Why did you stop talking to me? I was very bitter, very angry. I was holding the grudges because I did not understand why someone I considered really close to me would abandon me at such a time, considering that this person had history with cancer in their own family, so they understand even on a deeper level. But he told me it just broke him. It just broke him to see me in such a helpless. They did not know how to show up for me. After we had the difficult conversations, when I was able to finally let go of the grudge and say, hey, I can't be mad at people for how they decide they're going to deal with situations. Because even me, this is the first time I was going through this. So even caregivers, family and friends who are around you, I think they also need to know that it's okay for them to feel these feelings, and they need to be able to talk about them very openly. Because it's almost like, especially when you're a caregiver, or, when you're close in relation to someone who's ill, it's like when you complain, it's wrong. Or when you have feelings about the sickness being a burden, it's, don't air those out.
Don't say it
Ochuka will
loud.
feel bad
Yeah.
if you say
They'll feel
washing dishes for him.
stigmatized.
So it's just, but I'm realizing, Yani, all these things, the solution is just communication. Yani, I just need to talk about it so that I can know how to navigate better. So I'd like for us to close this conversation here, because if we do not stop here, we'll go on.
Let me close by introducing three things.
Sure.
Illness sits at the center of vulnerability. We have not used that word in this episode. We need to use it.
Yes.
Now, vulnerability is something that is very political, because as you look at the life of a sick woman, for example, who's married, and they are having chemo, mostly, for example, when somebody is going to have their uterus removed, for example, the extended family will feel that if you only have one child and you're going to have your uterus removed, then you will not have value to our son.
Yeah.
The man,
Yeah.
because the woman cannot take strokes anymore, they can't even get wet. They might even want to even force themselves on that woman, because you're married to me. You understand? And it's awkward and violent and oppressive, because it means how much illness is felt or experienced disproportionately across genders.
Yes.
So it is not to say that men don't experience oppression or subtle violence. They do, because you're still expected to have been a breadwinner. Prostate cancer is at the top cancer for men in Kenya. It's actually number one. So mostly it affects breadwinners. People generally peak in their 50s to their 60s. That's when the age group where most people get their prostate cancers. So you are the breadwinner, and cancer has come to your life. It has drained your resources. Now you feel useless, because most men attach their functionality and usefulness to money.
Yes.
You don't realize that, by the way, now that I'm home, I'm recovering, na my mom and a job, so why don't I take my kids to school, walk them? You might even get a golden chance to bond with your child. Your child will remember. I will remember things I sometimes think she would have forgotten.
Or things you were just thinking it's just normal day.
More.
Yeah.
And yet those are the things that she tells me, but Daddy, I'm in Sweden, but every heart of me is also with you in Kenya. She remembers things when she was 6. Vaguely, but that changes and revolutionizes my love. And we are talking about sex, but I usually sometimes like to introduce intimacy. Illness is very intimate. If illness has not stripped you and changed you upside down, kutoe ngozi, I don't think it has done justice to you. You will still default to being ungrateful, to thinking that you can walk over people, to thinking you are unaccountable just because you are sick and you are chronically ill or you are disabled. That's not the case. You are still a human being with expectations around you. Number 2, doctors rarely talk about sex.
Yes.
When you're chronically ill.
Yes.
And
Even
because
everyone around
and it's funny, because doctors are trained for 8 to 10 years, some even 15.
Yes.
And if you had experience, some even 20. And yet they don't have conversation. And yet sex is primal. Sex is why we are here.
Yeah.
If our parents never fucked, then we would not have been here.
Yeah.
Sex is primal to life, and yet it is not talked about enough. I remember one day, there are only 3 doctors. Dr. Muhammad in India, when I was discharged, and he was asking me, so what happens to your girlfriend? How are things going to be like for you? Yeah, and we had a whole conversations around it, and I felt how human he was. The second doctor was Professor Mwanda, who is a hematologist at KNH. And he was older, so I could understand why. Maybe he had a lot more experience. And another doctor, which is happened in an awkward time. There's a time my former girlfriend, visited me. And she found us kissing and making out. We had not had sex for nearly a month. I'd been in the hospital for 2 and something months. And she made it not look awkward. She humanized it. She gave us space and actually held fort later on, you know. And later on, when we were talking about it, I felt humanized through it. Even though it's wrong actually to make out in the. I'm not saying now you should be making out in the hospital. But
if I
yeah,
need
you
to,
might
if
find
I need-
yourself there. You understand?
Yeah.
So doctors don't talk about this, and nurses don't talk about it as much. It's like the sex and horniness button is supposed to be muted when you are unwell. But we feel too. We get horny. We feel desired. We desire. You know, we feel all these emotions too. So tying it up, just know that illness is just a color in your life. And colors, when we think of this as blue, it's not exactly blue. Blue is a combination of so many things. And that's why we have to know that life is a part of these many colors. We have to be willing and honest. We have to be accountable. We have to be communicating well. We have to be able to hold back, hold space, learn the dance of flirting with each other, learn the many ways in which we can be able to be there for each other. It is not always the same. I wish you the best. If you are a chronically ill person, don't feel disgusted by you feeling desire or wanting to be desire. You are a human being just as any other person.
Yeah.
If you are just getting diagnosed, if you've had all these feelings and you feel validated, welcome home. This is the conversations we have, and this is not justice enough. I hope we make more of such episodes in the future.
Yeah. I'm sure guys are going to say, we have to continue this conversation. Guys, I'm going to have him back here again so that we can continue this conversation. But today, thank you so much for sitting with us through these couple of hours. I've truly learned a lot. I think even on a personal level, I have to go do a lot of homework today. I have to do a lot of introspection, especially when it comes to my communication on a very friendly, platonic level, just with everyone, not just with,
Even with yourself.
yeah, and with myself especially. So guys, thank you so much for joining us throughout the conversation. I know guys, you guys love Ochuka. The ladies love you. Do you see their comments?
No.
Oh my
I've never seen
goodness.
this.
They're always talking about how bring the soft spoken,
Oh, okay.
sweet, loving Ochuka.
Thank you very much.
I will bring him much more. So guys, thank you so much. And until next time, I have been Roberta. Tell us more about what you'd like to hear. In the comments, we do check out your feedback, and we truly appreciate you guys checking our stuff out. So see you next time.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Cheers.